भाई इसकी वैल्यू कम से कम 3,000 तक परसेंट होती है। वाजपेयी तुम्हारे में क्या?
वाजपेयी को इसीलिए
अच्छा केतन बाद में आ रहा है। अरे वाह यार आगे गजब प्लानिंग हुई यार। सबसे तकलीफ मेरे को लग रहा है लगेगी। Next up we have a class player and probably someone who has helped us the most for holding the auctions. Number 223, Shivkant Sharma. Going under the hammer for 500. Can we have a bid of 500 for Shivkant Sharma? 500 says Tejas. A defense specialist. Tejas has him for 500 as of now. Can we see any further bids? No further interest. Closing at the count of 3 and Stallions has 600. 700 Tejas Tigers. Any more bids? 700 for Tejas Tigers. Any further bids? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold for 700 Shivkant to Tejas Tigers. We are now over with the volleyball pool. Now next we'll go with the individual pool. Jab tak ho raha, till we have time. So the number is 156 for Ankur Gupta. Ankur Gupta 156. Any bids? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and he goes to the unsold. Next up we have a great badminton player. Number 27, Sanjay. I'm well aware of his badminton skills, but I have heard he's good at other sports too. So let's have 500 for Sanjay. Anyone for 500? Closing at the count of 3. Stallion says 500. Any more bids? Should I close the bidding? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold. 500 Sanjay to Stallions. Next up we have number 128 Lokesh Kumar. Lokesh Kumar. Any bids for Lokesh? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and he goes to the unsold round. We have the next number 181 Hemendra Shankar. Hemendra Shankar, a good football player as I know him and a good chess player. Any bids for Hemendra Shankar? No interest for him right now. Maybe in the next round. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1. Next up we have number 105 Sumit Gaur. Sumit Gaur. He's a good player at badminton men's doubles as I know him. Not sure about other sports, but let's see how it goes. For 500, any bids? No interest. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1. Next up we have a good chess player, number 90, Priyanshu Bose. A good chess player and he's also good at football. 500 for the Tejas Tigers. They definitely recognize his football skills, I presume. 600 for Stallions. 700 says Tejas, 800 for Stallions. Probably a winner two in the mix. 900 says Rajdhani. 900 for Rajdhani. 1000 for Stallions. 1000 for Stallions for Priyanshu Bose. Closing 1100 for Rajdhani. 1100 for Rajdhani. 1100 for Rajdhani. Any further bids? 1200 for Stallions. 1200 for Stallions. Rajdhani is out. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold. At 1200 to Stallions. Next up we have number 44 Vishal. Who has 500 points for him? Any bids? Any interest? No interest. Closing at the count of 3, 2, and Rajdhani has one bid for 500. Any bids for 600? No bids. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold for 500 to Rajdhani. Next up we have number 14 Akash Hebbi. Akash Hebbi. Any bids for Akash Hebbi? No interest for Akash Hebbi. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1. He goes to the unsold round. Next up we have number 4 Aryan Kumar. A good cricket player, a good badminton player and definitely a good volleyball player. I'm unfamiliar with his chess skills. So let's see. Yes, Duranto has 500. Anyone for 600? Any bids for 600 for Aryan? Can we have a bid of 600 for Aryan?
Yep.
700 for Stallion. 800 says Duranto. Any more bids? 800 for Duranto. 900 for Stallions. 900 says Stallions. Is there 1,000? Any more bids? Closing at the count of 3. 1,000 for Duranto. 1,100 for Stallions with an enthusiastic appeal. 1,100 for Stallions. Closing the bidding at the 1,200 for Duranto. Any more bids? 1,200, 1,300 for Stallions. Is there a bid? 1,300 for Stallions. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold for 1,300 to Steam Stallions. Next up we have a namesake of Sudhanshu. Number 142, Sudhanshu Yadav. A good basketball player and definitely a good TT player. Can we have 500 for Sudhanshu? 500 says Duranto. Is there a 600? 600 says Stallions. 600, 700 for Tigers. 700 for Tigers. 800 says Stallions. 900 for Duranto. 900 for Duranto. Any further bids? 1,000 for Rajdhani. 1,100 for Stallions. 1,200 for Rajdhani. 1,300 for Stallions. 1,400 Rajdhani. 1,500 for Stallions. Any more interest? 1,500 for Stallions as that stands. 1,600 for Rajdhani. 1,600 for Rajdhani. Any more bids? Closing 1,700 for Duranto. 1,700 for Duranto. Any further bids? 1,800 for Rajdhani Eagles. 1,800 for Rajdhani Eagles. 1,900 says Duranto, not letting the player go. Is there a bid of 1,900 says Rajdhani. 2,000 says Duranto. 2,000 says Duranto. Any more bids? 2,200. 2,200 for Rajdhani. Any more bids for Sudhanshu? He stands at 2,200 for Rajdhani. 2,400 says Duranto. Any more bids for Sudhanshu? 2,600 for Rajdhani. 2,800 for Duranto. Moving up the ladder. 2,800 for Duranto. 3,000 says Rajdhani. 3,000 says Rajdhani. Any further bids? 3,200 for Duranto. 3,200 Duranto. 3,400 for Rajdhani. 3,600 for Duranto. 3,800 says Rajdhani. 3,800 says Rajdhani. Any more bids? 4,000 Duranto. Any more bids? 4,200 for Rajdhani. 4,200 for Rajdhani. Can we have more bids? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold for 4,200 to Rajdhani Eagles. Next up we have number 51, Santosh. Santosh goes under the hammer for 500 points. Anyone for 500 points? 500 is Rajdhani. Is there a 600? Any bids for 600? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold for 600 to Rajdhani. Next up we have number 170. Number 170. So as we know of it, Rajdhani Eagles have completed their team. They can now bid for players freely. Next up we have number 170, Love Kushwa. 500 says Tiger. 500 says Tigers. Any more interest? Any more interest for Love? 600 for Stallions. No one's interested in Love. 700 for Tigers. 700 for Tigers. Any further bids? Closing at the count of 3. 800 for Duranto. 800 for Duranto. Love Kushwa. 800 for Duranto. Any further bids? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold. 800 to Duranto. Next up we have number 206, another Sudhanshu Kumar. 206. Any bids for Sudhanshu Kumar? Starting at 500. Any interest for Sudhanshu? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1 and he goes to the unsold round. Next up we have number 151, Adit Banik. 500 for Banik. Any bids? No interest. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1. Unsold. Next up we have another great chess player, topper and a good defense specialist, Keshav Swami, number 200. Number 200, Keshav Swami. He has also improved massively in volleyball. Let's see a bit of 500. Rajdhani says 500. Rajdhani says 1000. Okay, that's a great lead, making it difficult for the other teams. Okay, so Tejas can't bid. Any more bids? Further north of 1000. Closing at the count of 3 for Keshav Swami. 3, 2. Stallions have him for 1100. Great Z. 1200, 1500 for Rajdhani. 1500 for Rajdhani. Any further bids? Okay, so Rajdhani has him from 1500 under the hammer for 3, 2, 1 and sold. For 1500 to Rajdhani Eagles. Next up we have number 107, Pavan Prasad. Number 107. Any interest at 500? Starting the bids at 500. Anyone interested? Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1. unsold. Number 36, Hemant Samaria. Any bids for Hemant? Starting the bids at 500. Any interest? Duranta says yes for 500. Any further bids? Further drop for 500. Anyone for 600? Closing the bidding at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold for 500 to Duranto Bulls.
मिल जाएगा ना 8 8 तक से तो क्रिएट नहीं किया वो चला कौन ठीक हो जाए.
Next up we have number 42, Giant Single. Number 42. Any interest for Giant at 500? No interest. Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1 and he goes to the unsold round. Next up we have a very special player. Again, he was a class representative, good at swimming, great at swimming, belonging from the 6th floor of stanza 11. Number 160, Aditya Thakse. Starting the bidding at 500. Any bids for Aditya Thakse starting at 500? Any interest? No interest. Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1. Is unsold. Next up we have number 192, Harshit Srivastava. Starting the bids at the count of at the base price of 500. Any bids for Harshit Srivastava? Any interest at any table? Closing at the count of Tejas Tigers have a bid of 500. Anyone for 600? Any interest for 600 for Harshit? Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1 and sold for 500 to Tejas Tigers. Next up we have number 74, Vineet Sharma. Vineet Sharma going under the hammer for 500 base points. Any interest for Vineet Sharma? Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1 and unsold. Next up we have number 119, Mohammad Moiz. A good lawn tennis player, but unfortunately it's not there. So let's see. 500 for no bids right now. No bids right now for Mohammad Moiz. Any bid for Mohammad Moiz? Closing the bidding at the count of 3, 2, 1. He goes unsold. Next number is 120, Aditya Pandey. 500 for Tigers, 600 for Stallions, 700 says Tigers, 800 says Stallions. Any further bids from Tejas? 800 for Stallions as it stands. Any further bids? Let's make that clear. His first preference is chess and not cricket, and that details we can ignore. 800 for Stallions. 1000 says Rajdhani. 1100 for Shatabdi. 1200 for Rajdhani. 1300 says Stallions. 1400 says Rajdhani. Inviting bids for 1500. Any bids for 1500 right now? No bids. 1500 for Stallions. 1500 for Stallions. Rajdhani are out. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1, and it goes to 1500 to Shatabdi Stallions. Next up we have number 140, Lalit Kaushik. 500 for Tigers. Any bids for 600? Can we have a bid of 600 for Lalit? No interest. Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1, and he is sold to Tejas Tigers for 500. Next up we have number 213, Shaurya Singh. Inviting bids at 500 base points for number 213, Shaurya Singh. Any interest for the player? A good badminton player. Any bids for Shaurya? Apologies. Any bids for Shaurya? Closing at the count of 3, 2, 1, and he goes to the unsold round. Next up we have number 138, Vineet Jain. Number 138. Any bids for 500? Any interest at 500? No interest. Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1, and he goes to the unsold round. Next up, we have number 137, Vaibhav Parmar. Vaibhav Parmar. Any bids? Any interest at all for the player? There is no interest, it seems. Closing the bid at the count of 3, 2, 1, and he also goes to the unsold round. Shubham Jha is our next player, number 61. Shubham Jha. Any bids for Shubham Jha? Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1. Unsold. Next up we have number 191, Ravi Madheshiya. Any bids for Ravi? No interest for Ravi. Closing the bids at the count of 3, 2, 1. And he goes to the unsold round. Next up we have Shantanu's roommate, ex-roommate, number 178, Saurabh Narwane. A good basketball player. At a bid of 500, Tejas are starting. 1000 says Rajdhani. 1100 for Tejas. 1200 says Duranto. 1300 says Stallions. All the teams are bidding. Tejas are out. 1300 for Stallions are red stands. 3000 for Rajdhani. 3200 for Duranto. 4000 for Rajdhani going all out. 4000 for 4200 for Duranto. 4200 for Duranto.
4650.
50
plus है
46 in terms of 15
4600 for Rajdhani Eagles going all out for Saurabh Narwane. 4800 for Duranto. 4800 for Duranto Bulls. 4800 for Duranto Bulls. 5000 for Shatabdi. and he goes to the unsold round. Next up we have number 33,